Good evening, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with the Citizens Forum.
I have Christina Radis, and then on deck would be Ashley Enboy.
Can we switch?
Can you do what?
You can stay where you are. Just state your name and your address.
Okay, Dana, I have. Ashley Embley, 4555 Deer Ridge Lane, Pulaski. All right, so I'm back again tonight because on April 15th, I made an open documents request. We were told in the meeting that the board was made aware of our movement situation and the reasoning behind it. Therefore, I want to know what exactly you were told, as we are still very confused by this decision. Finally, on Wednesday, April 30th, I received the requested documents. In the email you were sent on March 24th, the Monday after we were initially told of the changes being made, you received an email with the following reasons being listed. Number one, I'm going to start with the one that dumbfounded us the most. You were told that there are definite struggles and have been struggles in all these areas, even to the point of not wanting to share classroom spaces due to differing styles and personalities. Some of these struggles were even more pronounced when the teachers made moves to their new classroom space. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Our team was shocked by this statement. We get along very well and have had the absolute best year this year. We feel very fortunate in that we have a 4K team that collaborates daily, unlike all the other 4K sites who don't have anyone to collaborate with on a daily basis. It was one of the most stressful years, with each of us having to pack and unpack our classrooms twice in a very short period of time, but it was yet one of the best years we've had. Yes, there were some struggles in the beginning 6 years ago when I started sharing a classroom for the first time with one of my 4K colleagues, but we worked through our differences and shared a classroom for the next 5 years together. In those 5 years, we talked to administration about our differences, struggles, only 2 times in the first year. Since then, we have not been made aware of any issues from any administration. If there were truly concerning struggles, shouldn't we have heard about them prior to now? If our administration was truly leading and knew that there were definite struggles, shouldn't they have stepped in a long time ago to help us work through these issues we were having? Why would leaders let a team stay toxic for 6 years and only now be making changes due to our supposed struggles? The next most shocking statement that was made was, quote, in our virtual meeting, there were strong feelings, and one of the teachers said she wasn't sure, quote, on my colleague, her colleagues wouldn't throw her under the bus. That statement is completely false. What my colleague actually said was, how much do I trust my friends to not throw me under the bus, and how much do they trust me? To answer that question, we all fully trust each other, and my 4K team is here to show my support and agreements in this statement. Throughout this terrible 3.5-week process, we openly communicated and trusted each other fully. What she was trying to say in that situation is that each of us wanted to stay part-time, and first and foremost, and second, stay at Sunnyside. In order to stay at Sunnyside, one of us could have gone behind the other's backs and chose to be full-time so that we could be guaranteed to be at Sunnyside. This would have left 2 of us battling for the one part-time position at Sunnyside. But we trusted each other fully to stay true to our word. It was an example of how great a team and friends we have become, but instead words were twisted and used against us. Number 3, quote, as we shift to a more full-day programming, it makes the most sense to have all of our staff remain in their grade band, as we have the 3 positions available this year, end quote. As I stated in the last meeting, there are still 3 sections at 4K next year at Sunnyside. We would all still have positions available at Sunnyside next year. This has nothing to do with helping us transition to full-day programming, or does it make sense? Number 4, there are work habits that will improve with full versus part-time roles. I hope you're asking yourself right now, what work habits are they talking about? I don't know about you, but I'm very confused as to how anyone besides those who are very close to me know about my work habits. The only difference between a part-time 4K teacher and a full-time 4K teacher Monday through Thursday is our lunchtime. As a full-time 4K teacher, I will not get any more time than I already do to get work done. Now on Friday, I would receive more work time, but that is only if we don't have professional development, meetings, or training that takes up that time. But let me ask you something. If I know that completing my work on my own time at home and staying part-time is what's best for me and my family, who are they to tell me otherwise? I can't think of any work habits of mine that would improve. This move is just forcing me to put my job ahead of my family, which supposedly Pulaski is against. You were also told each of these, quote, each of these placement changes have undergone collaborative conversations with the teacher teams and then the individual teachers, end quote. The definition of a collaborative conversation is a purposeful dialogue where participants actively build on each other's ideas to achieve a shared outcome. This absolutely did not happen. The first time we were told about the Hillcrest position, it came along with how many external people had already applied to the external posting. The next conversation we had was about how one of us was going to be forced to take the position. When our team was trying to have a collaborative conversation with administration, we were told after 47 minutes of talking that, quote, you girls can tell that my decision has been made. I mean, we're going to move forward with this, end quote. It was next stated that I will finish at the end of the meeting.
Your 4 minutes is up.
Yep.
I would ask for her to finish now. Our citizens forum is not intended to have a total of 8 minutes, but since you have this and you intend to finish, if we could just complete it now. Does anyone have an objection with that?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
Go ahead.
thank you. It was then stated that, quote, we make decisions based on what is best for our students in respect to our staff, end quote. If I'm not changing roles, and we will all still be a 4K teacher, and I positively affect our students at Sunnyside in many different ways, but in my 4K role and an even larger position outside of my 4K role, how is this true? Wouldn't the decision be based on who is least connected to the Sunnyside students, which also doesn't make sense? Shouldn't the interview questions be based on your connection to the Sunnyside family, staff, and students? That's right, we had to interview for a job that we already have. We asked multiple times exactly what we were interviewing for and were never specifically told. The only information we were given was to determine who would best fit each role. If we've all taught 4K, how would an interview give you information you didn't already have as our administrators? How is an interview question going to determine who is a better part-time versus full-time versus full-day 4K teacher? Let me give you a couple examples of the interviewing questions, and you can judge for yourself if these were in fact questions to determine best candidate for each position or were guided traps with ulterior motives that had nothing to do with the actual roles we were being assigned. Here's the first one of the interview questions. You had a student in your 4K class who is struggling academically and socially. The student's family is requesting that the child repeat 4K, believing it will help them catch up. However, your district guidelines do not support retention at this age, and research indicates that retention in early childhood is not a best practice and can have negative long-term effects. How would you navigate this situation? What steps would you take to support the student while also partnering with the family and honoring district guidelines? The answer is pretty obvious, I think. Quote, can you give an example of a challenging situation involving a colleague or administrator? How did you handle it with professionalism, and what was the outcome? I urge you to look at the rest of the questions that I printed for you and determine for yourself if those questions truly would have helped you choose where each of us would best fit, when all of us would essentially still be employees of Pulaski's Community School District as 4K teachers. Lastly, you were told, quote, we all recognize that each person embraces change differently, and some do not embrace it as easily or at all. I have been teaching for 14 years, 10 of those years at Sunnyside. In those 14 years, I've taught 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and 4K. This is not about embracing change. This is about the fact that certain administration doesn't like that I question decisions or am not just a yes person and who are now forcing me to put my job ahead of my family. I would love to work at Hillcrest. I think Chris Wells is an amazing leader and an amazing principal, and I have multiple friends who work there. There was no reason for this change, and therefore I refuse to have my family be greatly impacted due to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina? If you could just say your name and your address, please, and you can say where you are.
Christina Radis, 1568 County Road C, Sabisky. Good evening. I wanted to speak to you tonight regarding the staffing at Sunnyside Elementary School, specifically in relation to Ashley Ambeling's position. Both of my oldest boys were fortunate enough to have Ashley as their 4K teacher at Sunnyside, and I have also worked and collaborated with her this past year in the PTO and gotten to know her on a personal level. I can tell you without a doubt that a huge part of the love my oldest boys have for school is because of the foundation of making school fun and the joy Ashley brought into this classroom. This is something they have carried with them and will continue to carry with them all throughout their education journey. And it is all credit to their very first 4K teacher, not just what she taught them, but how she taught them. I can also tell you that the Sunnyside PTO will no longer be able to accomplish what it has in the past without Ashley's leadership, and this will be a big loss to our community. She has simply gone above and beyond her teaching role in every way possible to ensure the students and their families have the best possible school experience, with multiple events for the children to enjoy and families to get to know one another throughout the school year. Every year in the Sunnyside survey, I share my same thoughts and concerns about the treatment of our staff and the rate at which we are losing some of the best teachers. Yet it just continues to happen. And that concern does not mean just getting them nice gifts for Teacher Appreciation Week, but goes much deeper than that in acknowledging all they do for our school and community, and in turn appreciating and valuing them enough to fight for them to keep them in our school. Unfortunately, that did not happen in this situation, and because of that, we may lose an irreplaceable teacher in our school, district, and an incredible asset within our community. So many staff members, parents, and community members share my sentiments and are saddened and disappointed by this decision. And I am simply here today to share that message with the board and ask that we do better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda.
I do want to pull out the bill check report, or bill payment report if we can. When Mark gives his budget update, I have a couple questions on some checks.
Okay, so then the minutes from the April 30th business meeting are for approval. Are there any objections? Hearing no objections, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Ally, superintendent update.
Okay. Switching gears, we're here in the end of the year. I'd like to start my updates tonight just by, we have two gentlemen are here. They're seniors. They're graduating in a week. I'd like to just take a moment just to acknowledge their work with us. Crosby sitting as our student rep here on the board. And just being part of our conversations this year, so we really appreciate that. So I'd like to give you a little round of applause. And
Whoa! Thank you. Oh, let me stand up.
It's like a surprise test.
Thank you.
And then I'd just like to acknowledge Colton as well. He's been one of our student workers here helping us. He's been great. I mean, he traveled all those workshop meetings, even on the ice storm nights when we were in Illinois and the roads were glare. And you looked at him and he just said, yeah, I can do it. Sure, we can make that happen. So we really appreciate that. Appreciate all the work that you've done for us. So. And I promise these gentlemen to get our meeting rolling because we've got to be out of here by what time you gotta leave? 7, right? So they have their band awards. Band and choir awards. So exciting time for them. So speaking of that, there are still numerous things happening in the district. It's the end of the year. It's the month of May. We've traveled through a lot already. So it was the 4th grade farm and forest day. We had fishing day. Track and field is coming, or did we have that already? I'm not sure, but we have all of the field days are coming at the elementary schools. We had the Goodie Duathlon. I know tomorrow is the Wax Museum at Sunnyside that we'll get a chance to visit. So just lots of opportunities yet, not to mention the awards and things that are happening at the end of the year for our students and as they move on to graduation in a week from now. So 2 days, right? Is that what you told me? 2 more days for our seniors, and they'll be, and we won't see them until Wednesday night. So it's an exciting time at the end of the year. I also have our list of years of service of people that from the banquet that we had just last week. I wanted to bring attention to those. I'm going to collectively let you know the numbers of each of the bands of people that were in those years of service. And we had our banquet. I've also been traveling out to the buildings and haven't gotten everywhere yet, but we've got a nice schedule that I'll be able to bring everyone their years of service gifts as well. So We are going to go ahead and list publicly, though, in our minutes, the names. This document will be just inserted into the minutes so that we have that on record of the people that have served here in the district. So we had 23 staff members celebrating 10 years of service in the district. We had 5 staff members celebrating 15 staff members celebrating 20 years of service to the district. We have 11 staff members that celebrated 25, 6 staff members who celebrated 30, and this year we had 3 staff members celebrating 35 years of service. So, and we also had, I believe we had, let me see, our retirees this year, we had, 12 retirees this year with a total of 184 years of service to the district. So pretty awesome. And let's give all of our staff members. I just wanted to call a reminder about the June meetings. We have 2 meetings in June, June 4th and June 18th. And then graduation, I have sent you a separate email. Just said we'll see you guys at the high school at 6:15. Last year we were there at 6:15. We went in right away. We tried to get in and do pictures. If you kind of group there or group into the auditorium, usually not usually, always the slideshow is going in the auditorium. So that's nice to see as we're waiting to get our group and individual pictures taken as board. Okay. And if there's anyone that's not able to make that event that night, just let Dana and I know. A couple of you are a maybe and possibly one not able to attend that evening. We'll just do our best. And if we can't get a full group picture that night, we'll do it another time so we have everyone there. All right? Yeah, that's all the announcements that I have for you or updates that I have.
Any questions for Allison? Okay, moving to out of country field trips and out of state. Ms. Cook?
We're proposing a trip for French club students, students that have made it through 2 levels of French, to France and Switzerland next June. So we'd be going for 2 weeks to visit Geneva, Switzerland, make our way through the Alps. They'll spend about 5 days with the host family. We'll hop a train up to Paris and do the sightseeing tourist version of our travel experience. It looks like we have a pretty healthy group of kids that are interested. We're also partnering up with the Bayport High School so we can offer more travel experiences between the 2 schools combined. So looks like we got about 17 kids that said they're interested so far, just from Pulaski alone, which is pretty phenomenal for us.
And this is similar to a trip that you combined with
Yes.
Bayport last
Yeah,
time,
we
right?
went 2 years ago in 2023, so this would be for 2026.
And similar type of trip, I know different
Yeah,
regions.
Same
but
company. The Paris part is pretty much the same, and then we try to visit a different region of the country as well. So this will be the Alps region, and just give them opportunities to use the language and learn more about the culture beyond the classroom.
So that company vets out the host families where the kids will be staying?
Yep. It's language and friendship. They're based out of Minneapolis. They've also offer hosting for students to take in exchange students from other countries as well, and we've had a pretty good partnership with them for a number of years.
I'll make a motion to approve the French Club to France Switzerland trip as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the France-Switzerland field trip as presented. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Good luck.
Thank you.
Start planning. Will do. The next field trip is PHS FFA to Mountain, Wisconsin.
That's me. We like to do our FA officer retreat. It's 2 days, June 16th through the 18th. We rent a cabin in Mountain, and the idea is we will plan the entire school year of all of our events all together, do some leadership building, some team building, and prepare kids for that. Just a couple nights up in a cabin, get to know each other a little bit better, but the main goal is to set up our whole program of activities for the whole year. And do some event planning and get kids ready to go. So when summer ends, we're ready to go. There are no costs to the kids. The FFA will pay for it.
I make a motion to approve the FFA trip to Mountain.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the FFA trip to Mountain, Wisconsin as presented. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.
Have fun.
And the final one is PHS band to Philadelphia.
Hello.
Hi.
So we are proposing a trip to offer to band students to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, next July 2026, which happens to coincide with the 250th anniversary of the birth of our country. We were approached back in 2022 by the sponsor of the parade saying, we want you to be there to represent Wisconsin as part of this parade. Pretty cool. So we're trying to offer pretty much a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for students to be there, be part of a parade, be in a historic part of our country on a very historic day. Along with that, some sightseeing in the city, etc. So I'm in contact with a few travel companies right now trying to get a variety of quotes, but it looks like it could be about a 5 or 6 day trip. Approximate cost is around $2,000, give or take. And so, yeah, that's what we would be there for. The parade is on the 3rd of July, and then we have the 4th for some sightseeing opportunities there.
And who is this open to? Are you opening it up to the middle schoolers like you did the Rose Bowl?
No, so what it would be the trip takes place in July, so it would be just as incoming freshmen, the students that would be transitioning into high school at that time. So in a typical year, those students would transition once they left the middle school. They would start rehearsals and things with the high school in June. On a trip year, or if we had something going on over the summer, like this year we're traveling to Mackinac in a few weeks. So we had started rehearsals in May with those incoming freshmen, the current 8th graders, so they are rehearsing with us a bit, but it would just be the incoming freshmen that would be part of it, no middle school.
The outgoing seniors next year too would be part of it?
Yeah, and they would be just a few weeks removed from graduation at that point, and so they would have the opportunity to join us if they wished.
Okay.
Has our band ever been to Philadelphia?
They have. In fact, the last time they were there was 2013, and it was for this parade. Yeah, so we're familiar with sort of a layout of the trip, so to speak, and the area.
And then I know you always have the music boosters and things like that to help with fundraising. Is that what we would do for our students as well?
The music boosters are phenomenal at providing opportunities for families. We've had a number of families that have raised money through volunteering time at the Resch Center, through other mechanisms like Raise Right or script cards, and there's a variety of mechanisms that occur annually for families to build up funds. Yeah. And it is our policy, just not only as the boosters, but as the program, to allow an opportunity for any student that wanted to go to have that opportunity. We never want finances to get in the way.
Motion to approve the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania field trip as presented.
Second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve Philadelphia band trip as presented. Any other question or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck in Mackinac.
Thank you.
Next up are the breakfast and lunch prices for 2025-2026.
Want me to do it, Mark?
Mark?
Yeah. Sounds good.
I propose just raising a quarter across the board, 25 cents for breakfast, 25 cents for each of the grade levels. So $3.25, $3.50, $3.75 would be the new prices. We had our meeting last night with our buying group, which was a lot of the districts in the area, East of here, West of here, Kahana, Clintonville, Howard, Swamico, and us, and we're all pretty much in the same, ballpark for the prices. We're all trying to get a quarter raise just to offset the cost. Just with staffing has been difficult across the board trying to find staff, and I think everyone's paying a little bit more than what they used to, so and the cost of food has gone pretty much up across the board. So just trying to plan for the future so we don't lose money this coming year and we can maintain and not have to do a huge increment, a year down or 2 years down the road we're having to raise the price 50 cents or something like that.
So, Mark, we were at 1.916 million in 23-24, 2.07 million in 24-25. Do you have an estimate in 2026 of where that will be?
Yeah, what number you're referring to? What's the 916 and 2? Is that fund balance or is that?
Projected expenses have increased. That was the email I got from
Sure.
Allison.
Yeah, so we are, this year, revenue's pretty flat at just over 2 million, and expenses are about $100,000 up. So they will be favorable adding to their fund balance this year, but we've seen, we're doing the same amount of meals and we've seen expenses up about that 5% range.
So it's estimating about the same percentage.
Yeah, and if John's correct, if that continues, we just want to make sure that we don't start to run a deficit. The other one that I'll get to in my memo, but also impacts the lunch price, is the $2 transaction fee that we charge for an online payment is going away. So that will help offset, especially for families who load it. There's two reasons for that. A federal law is going into place in 2027 where you cannot charge a transaction fee to a free and reduced student. So we're just getting ahead of that. And really, it's a little bit of an unfair practice for families who pay week by week. Over the year, they're paying a lot more in transaction fees than it. So it's not baked into this cost, but it is good to note that somebody says, "Hey, I'm paying a quarter extra per meal." Well, take the amount of transactions you have and take that $2 back into your pocket. Should be a nice offset for the families.
My guess is families are seeing themselves the cost of food that's going up and whatnot, so I think it's only fair.
John, I know you were looking into more organic, holistic kind of foods. Did you have some luck sourcing some of that stuff, produce and such?
We work with Wello, and right now it's a little bit just the middle school and high school. Just the transportation of them delivering it. They don't want to deliver to all 5 elementary schools at this point. The cost is quite a bit, especially if you have it broken down where they process it a little bit more. So if we're going to get like celery sticks or carrot sticks already pre-cut, it is quite expensive to go that route. We are making small changes to improve the quality of food, I guess, with our products that we buy through the government. We're trying to streamline to the best available that we have, and then produce-wise, we're also trying to, like cauliflower, we get little florets already pre-cut and everything like that. They come in a bag, you get a little 2-pound bag. Well, now we're getting heads of cauliflower for most of the schools, heads of broccoli for most of the schools, moving towards like whole stalks of celery. We're processing ourselves to try to get the quality a little bit better. The cost is a lot better, but the quality is better. Just also the cooking that we're doing, just training the staff. The first 2.5 years I was here, we were so short-staffed that I was actually a cook, and my assistant Chris Reed was a cook. So we had a little bit more time to get out and actually work with the staff on how I want the food to be prepared. Today was a perfect example at Glenbrook. We had the English muffins, and the way they did it last time, I kind of hollered at. I didn't holler at them, but I just this is the way I want it done. If to follow the recipe and stuff. So I was down there today, and it's exactly how I want it done. They separate everything, and they toast English muffins with a little butter on them. They put them together at the last second, and actually went in there really good. So little things like that are making a difference. The one thing that it's hard to explain is that we're part of the National School Lunch Program, and we do get funding for the meals that we serve, but we also get like a commodity dollar value. So we're using products that the government gives us. And so what we're serving here is exactly what all the other districts throughout the whole country are serving. And the thing is that they're reduced the amount of fat, sodium, calories, sugar, and everything, so that it's not. It takes a little bit to make it taste good, I guess. It is. And I come from a food background. I love food and stuff like that. So, my staff works really hard to work within the boundaries that we're given, and we even, try to stretch a little bit. I work with Chris Momar, since she knows how I cook, and I do stretch it the best that we can. We put a little extra cheese on the pizza if we can, and stuff like that, just to help, make it more palatable. It is. It's a tough product to sell. It's not like the old days when you go to the school cafeteria and you get a big piece of pizza and there'd be like a little bit of layer of grease on it. And that's all gone now. It's tough to make it taste good, but we're doing the best that we can with what we have to work with, and I think the food is getting better. When I came here, they would steam vegetables just as it is, put them in the thing, and then serve them. And I've got them using butter and salt and little pepper and stuff like that. Oh, we can't do it. I said, yeah, we can. Let's do it that way. So they're all doing it that way. And then grilled cheeses, they would do butter spray, like the aerosol and spray the grilled cheeses with butter spray and then bake them. I said, no, we're gonna melt butter, and then we put the thing, we brush it with butter, and then we bake it. So they're actually a lot better that way. But so, it is getting better. Give us a little more time, and every year you'll see a bigger improvement.
I appreciate the efforts.
So Mark, last year we held the lunch prices flat, right? Because we had to
Yeah,
pay,
last 2 years.
pay the fund balance down a little bit because it was getting a little large. So how far under that threshold will we be, right? Because I think you shared there's a threshold that we have to stay under.
We still have projects that we're doing in the kitchens to spend it down. Our request from DPI was $380,000 that we need to spend. John and I are working at something at the high school to make that kitchen a little more functional and that. And then just the other elementaries that haven't been touched, and doing some updates there so that they're in line with Sunnyside and Hillcrest, which have fully new kitchens. So we have those projects lined up that'll be happening over the next 2 summers.
All right, so this increase should keep us flat. It's not going to bring that back up.
Right. It's the excess balance that we have to spend. We will take care of.
I'll make a motion to approve the 25-26 breakfast lunch prices as presented.
Second it.
There's a motion and a second to approve the breakfast lunch prices as presented. Any other question or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
The annual PCSD Children at Risk Plan.
Yeah, we also have a fee. We have
Oh, we have your
fee
fee.
structure as well. It's under other student fees.
Got
so
it.
We're raising those as well this year.
So this is new coming to the board as part of Neola policy. It really is the board sets these. These rates, I couldn't find the last increase, so it's been over 5+ years. The student fee is the amount paid usually at the beginning of the year. It goes on student bills for cost of resources, so texts and licenses. Those costs have gone up tremendously. Consumable program materials, regular increases, and then any individual use items that the students use. So that recommendation is 5. That again as well is paid through our online site, or people can stop in. But that $2 charge is removed from student fees as well.
Do you have a breakdown of where this goes if somebody requests it?
Yeah, it really is those listed items. So for each individual student, it's not a detailed list that you would get at summer school based on each course, but we can easily cover the listing of at each elementary, the cost of where that 25 goes. So it's dependent by school and by what courses a kid is in at high school or whatnot, but those are the listed items. So it's the resources, consumable program materials, and any individual use items.
Is this pretty common in school districts to have them?
Yes. Yeah.
This actually was along with the breakfast lunch prices. We had this conversation around student fees yesterday at my Brown County Superintendent meeting. So we're all in line. We're actually some of the lowest fees as far as student fees are concerned. And it depends on how things are broken out, like what other things in a district, how they work the fee. I think there is no school district that isn't going to work with a family or waive fees if they need to, or figure this out with them if they need to. So, but we're all having that conversation around just the fact that there is so much that we're also needing to educate now that isn't covered. That we do need to charge a fee for some of the things that we're doing in the classroom.
But Mark, to confirm the $2 convenience fee, so I know today if you want to replenish a lunch account with a credit card, they charge a fee. That's going to go away too?
Correct.
So all means all then? Okay.
Yes.
And that goes away effective July 1st.
Yes, and so anything on RevTrak, your summer school fees July 1st, before and after care, we pay through there, your PACE classes. It's just easier for us to move away from all fees, even though we only technically have to do it for food service. So to offset that as well.
What will that mean revenue-wise? I mean,
Yeah, we pay about $25,000 in fees, for us to transaction it, and it gets charged out to food service or whatnot. On a given year, how much they offset that, about 10 grand is offset depending on how many transactions people make. So, we'll offset it with this increase as well, but it's really not intended for that either. So, not a huge change for us, but
Shuffling checks around though is going to be reduced, which would be a little bit of time saver.
yeah, I would have to ask how many. I'd have to ask Shelley how many parents come in and write a check to the school. I know people do for food service just to save that $2. So, it's going that way.
So I will make a motion to approve the student fee memo as presented.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the 25-26 student fees as presented. Any other question or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Now moving on to the annual Children at Risk Plan.
Laura and I are here. We have put a memo on box for you guys. So this is an annual plan that we have to bring to the board, and it has to be approved by August 15th of each year. We did put a redline version of the plan on box as well, but it's probably way easier to look at the memo because there are very few changes to the plan itself. We kind of summarized it by page. The majority of the changes are just, we had some changes to the assessments that we're using based on Act 20. There's some verbiage changes from the state related to the different levels, like within the Ford exam, and then just some clarification on, school social worker versus district social worker, and some clarification around what our teams are. So minimal changes to the plan based on what we had last year. Any questions on the plan?
I did notice on the front it didn't have the correct school year. I'm guessing you're going to update that.
I fixed it. I thought that too. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the annual PCSD Children at Risk Plan as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the Children at Risk Plan as presented. Any other question or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. CISA contracts.
Every year we bring the CISA contracts to you. Our main CISA that we work with or that we're a member of is CISA 7. And so the memo just provides a little background information on CISAs, which are cooperative educational service agencies. But also at the same time, even though that's our main one, sometimes different CISAs specialize in various things. So for example, we use the CISA 6 model as our educator effectiveness instead of the DPI model. So, that might be something that we work more with them on. Special ed might use CISA 8 more because they're able to provide some different services than what CISA 7 is able to do. So that's why you'll see different contracts coming to you. Tonight we're bringing our CISA 7 and our CISA 6 one to you. You want to talk special ed first?
Yeah, so the CISA 7 contract for special education, you're going to see Learning for Independence. That's a program through NWTC, and they really work on training students to be able to learn skills that they could transfer into their post-secondary educational experience. That program last year, this year we had more students participating, but they changed a little bit of the program and the processes for that. So there's only one student projected for that program this upcoming year. We are looking at other options for transition though, so we'll be bringing more information down the road regarding that as well. So that's primarily the special education service that is going to be in the CISA 7 contract this year.
Like I said, CISA 7 is our main service provider, and so we're at the beginning of a 2-year contract. So what you see in this screenshot here is for both of those years. So they offer a base, and then they have where you can add on days. We just simply go with the base package, which is they provide 10 days of service from their individuals, their consultants, or their people that we work with. So for instance, last year we worked a lot with their 2 literacy consultants because of Act 20. I think all 10 days went specifically for them to be in here and providing that professional development and that work with our staff. And that's who we tend to use mainly. You can get math services, you can get EL services, early childhood. There's a multitude of what you can offer, but 10 days only goes so far. The other thing is in their structure, planning counts. So even though it says 10 days, for every day that they're here, a half a day is for them to plan and prepare to be here. So that's what you see at the very top of this part. You'll also see that we belong to the Consortium for English Language Learners. And so that's a consortium where the money goes and our people are able to get training and so forth. And then there's different networks. So we have individuals who participate in the Literacy Leaders Network. Ironically, we have to belong to the Title I network because we received those funds. And so that is involved in here. We also, because of our Perkins grant funds, that mainly are middle school and high school. And so that's through our career and technical education. So we belong to that network, and then also their district assessment coordinator network, as well as some of these other ones listed. And then there's a actual cost that's called a matching revenue. And so that has increased, I think, since the last year or two. Basically, the state generates or gives money, and then each of the districts, in order, because they have to belong to a CISA, also then have to match those funds. And so that's what you see on here. Mark might be able to explain it a little bit more if you have questions specifically on that part. So our contract for this year for those services is the $48,000, including what Julie had mentioned. And then one of the things that we have found very beneficial is to do the Learning and Assessment Network, or I think they have a different name for it, Learning Leaders or something like that. And so we utilize that service through CISA 6. Several of the Brown County schools also attend this network as well. And so we have just found it to be very beneficial. Usually meet virtually once a month, and they really give us great updates on what's happening with DPI and just a variety of things. And then we're able to share that out with, if it's something specific for the high school, I'll usually take some of those slides and send it to them. If it's about mental health or student behavior, attendance, I'll share that with student services or other individuals. So that's a small one. It did go up this year $250. Otherwise, it's been $200 to belong to that one. And then we will come back with CISA 8. They didn't have their contracts ready for us, so that's why they're not on this one, but that'll be next meeting.
Could you explain the breakdown they have here for unit cost, overhead cost, and then obviously the total? Like what is an overhead cost?
They charge a flat percentage. I think CISA 7's at 7%. They're allowed to do that as a state agency. They recently increased it. They're in line with all the CISAs. So that, I'm not going to speak for them, but that covers their administrative time. Much like in a grant, we can do the same. We can charge an administrative overhead. So that it's mostly a flat percentage, I believe, across the board. It looks like it's almost 11% on here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think they went from 7 to 11% recently. And when they didn't pitch it to us, they just added it. And they talked to all the districts and said, to make their ends meet, so they need to be in line with other districts. So unit cost is what the cost of the program is. Overhead is their 11%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I move to accept the CISA 6 contract as presented.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second to approve the CISA 6 contract as presented. Any other question or comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried.
I move to approve the CISA 7 contract as presented.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second to approve the CISA 7 contract as presented. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. personnel report. Stephanie?
I'm gonna go through this quick so we can get our seniors out of here on time. Our interview committees have been working really hard. We have quite a few hires for you. Courtney Allen, Philip Shevyak, Corinne Pearson, Jolyn Schmidt, Justine Liberty, and Calista Arndt. At transfers, we have Braxton Panur, transfer from Lenoy to Hillcrest. Jack Hayward is transferring from Fairview to the high school. Cassie Tingo is changing her FTE to a 1.0. Ashley Kubiak is changing FTE to a 1.0. Allie Machad is transferring from Fairview Hillcrest to Fairview Lenoy. Resignations, we have Tyler Hansen, Emily Tesmer, Jessica Wampler, Brianna Kirks, Carrie Hartle, Zachary Knuse, and Lisa Brzezowski. And we appreciate their service with us.
So a couple questions. Excuse me. On all the resignations, I think I counted 6 or 7. Did we do exit interviews with all of them?
I've sent it to them. They haven't all responded.
Okay. And do we have a plan to backfill all of these roles? Is that some of the ones we're seeing up top already, or now
Yes.
these are all?
Some of them, there was 2 people that had left, so they had quite a few people that they were interviewing, so they're actively offering out to the people who are leaving.
All right. And then the transfer stuff. So, and maybe we can't get into it here. That might be a future meeting topic, whether it be open or closed session, I don't know. But to better understand the transfer process, how it works, and like we hear in citizens forum about situations, so I'd like to better understand these. And maybe this isn't the right place to hear about it, but are all of these, I'm gonna use the word willing transfers, are they agreed upon transfers? Is it to better the district? What's the purpose behind all of the transfers, aside from?
Yeah, so it's the same process that we talked about a couple of meetings ago, but a lot of these transfers, they're wanting to switch to a different building. So some of them it's just because we have more students at Hillcrest, so we have to have more FTE at the other schools. So a couple of them, they're definitely willing to do it. The art transfer, I know they met with the teachers in person and talked through what was going on, the different opportunities available, and that's what they came up with and agreed on.
Okay. And if there's any of the exit interviews that get done and there's, I'm going to say negative feedback, I've never seen so many people leave a district in the last year I've been on the board that are so happy to be here, but yet they leave. So I'd be curious, like, where does the feedback go if it's provided in an exit interview?
Yeah, it comes to me. It's anonymous, so I don't know exactly who it is. If there's something drastic of concern, I bring it to our leadership team and then we discuss it.
Okay.
So did you just say exit interviews are anonymous?
Yes. It's a survey.
Okay. That doesn't really make a lot of sense though, does it?
Because you know who you're sending them to.
Because you know who you're sending them to.
Well, I sent it in bulk. Like, I sent all of these people the email at the same time. So
Okay.
I don't know who is responding.
Yeah, again, the point of my question is, like, in the last year, every personnel report, it's always, this has been great, I love it. There's a lot of tenure here, and I know some of these teachers, and no, I haven't spoken to them, and no, I don't plan on speaking to them, it's a personal business, but I just find it hard to believe that everything is so great, but yet they're leaving. So I'd be curious.
A lot of it, they have other factors going on in their life.
I don't know if I've heard that as
A lot of
well.
people moving, so
Yeah.
it's going to vary by the person, but it's not all bad.
I have no further questions.
Is there a motion on the personnel report?
I'll make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve the personnel report as presented. Any other question or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to Mark. Do you want to start with the bill approval?
Yeah, let's do that.
Steve, do you have
I do.
questions for him?
Yes, page 17, there was a bill paid, or a bill mentioned on here, and I know they're not paid yet, to Olson Oil for $18,000 for maintenance. I guess I'm just curious, what is that? Is that a one-time thing? Is that like oil changes?
Yeah, so it's vehicle fuel. Let me pull it up. I assume that's gas.
Okay, yeah, it just says
I'll
vehicle
pull it
fuel
up
and
in a
servicing. So that's the fuel supplier?
Yes, and actually, we're split, I believe, for next year, but let me pull it up. Olson has been our fuel provider.
That would make sense. I saw the servicing part of it, that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's our May payment for our fuel contract,
Okay.
so.
And then so on page 18, we make a payment to Six Flags. I know this for a field trip, I know we approved it, but where do we see the money that we paid out versus the money that's coming in? Right, so all the money that's collected from students, where does that offset show up?
So special revenue trust fund would be a Fund 21, so on on your monthly report, Fund 21 revenue would
Okay.
show where that money is.
Okay.
So all student activity, field trips, the clubs, all that money, revenue comes into Fund 21, expenses hit Fund 21. So when you see special revenue trust fund, that's how you know it's Fund 21. You wouldn't see a detailed register of those checks.
But that's where it balances
in
out.
any report.
I was just curious where it balanced out in the budget.
Yeah.
Okay. I only have a couple more questions. Page 24, there's 2 payments out to SNL Motors. I'm assuming they're vehicle purchases.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So this is for facilities. We have 2 vans that are in drastic need of replacement. Nick had funds set aside and then was able to replace 2 vehicles. They're rusted out. They're being transferred to the high school for the high school students to do body work on. So 2 used vans that are utility vans for us.
Okay. And then my last question on this, so on that same page, there's a payment for $7,185 of school perceptions. I know what we use them for, surveys and exit interviews and things like that. Is that to cover that subscription? Yeah. Okay. So we're not paying for an additional service through them. This is all part of what
This is the School Perceptions 2025 survey. So
Okay.
it's an all-in-one invoice.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Anybody else have any questions? Then we're gonna need a motion on the bill payment report.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the board checks report as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the board check report as presented. All those in favor, or any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Mark, April budget report.
Yeah, on the budget report, I have no change in the forecast I shared last month. Coming up in June, you'll have some year-end transfers to approve either then or in July, as well as any budget revisions to prepare us for year-end, but no other variances to present on.
So we're still looking to finish about the same?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
I think if I updated yesterday, we're about $100,000 favorable, 150. I think I'd share about 200. So as things continue to come in and close out grants, I'll continue to update that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions for Mark on the budget report? No? Second citizens forum. Anybody want to speak? No. No? Okay, then our next workshop meeting will be June 4th in this room. Right now we have the initial 25-26 draft budget and cell phone policy on the agenda. We will be moving into a closed session tonight pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1985 1C, 1985 1F, and 1985 1E. Is there a motion?
I move to go into closed session.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to go into closed session. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Good night, everyone.